Hey everyone, and welcome back to our series The Facts You Didn't Know, the series where we take a deep dive into each one of Prince's albums. Today we're talking about an album that means a lot to Prince fans, but particularly fans in Europe, and perhaps even more particularly fans in the UK like myself. It's the album where Prince repeated his Musicology trick of giving away an album with the ticket price of a concert, as well as trying a new idea, giving it away with newspapers too. It's the album that many of us in this country own the most copies of, if you, like me, managed to attend multiple concerts that year. Of course, we can only be talking about 2007's Planet Earth. Before we begin, please take a moment to like and share this video. Please also make sure you hit the bell icon so you don't miss future videos. It costs you nothing, and it truly does help keep this channel going. Thank you. Now let's do this thing. So, it's very difficult to separate out the Planet Earth album with the concert Residency 21 Nights in London. For that reason, some of the things we address in this video relate slightly more to those shows than the album itself, and although this video is mostly about the album, hopefully that's okay with you. I'll get this out of the way at the start. 21 Nights in London was an absolutely incredible summer that all of us who attended look back upon very fondly. I myself attended 5 shows and 4 after shows. 2 of those after shows Prince also performed at, and after one of those after shows is when I met and spoke to Prince one-on-one. A memory I will never ever forget. But first fun fact, the tour wasn't actually originally called 21 Nights. It was actually originally called the Earth Tour, in line with the album, and also potentially indicating the tour might actually be a proper touring show. Initially, although the plan was always to do 21 Nights in London, they weren't all announced in advance, and according to The Guardian's article at the time of the first announcement, Prince would play 21 shows in London starting with 7 nights at the O2 Arena. This seems to indicate that Prince may have also been in discussions with other venues, or perhaps hedging his bets in case of variable demand. Of course, when the demand was proven, with all those initial shows ultimately selling out, both Prince and the O2 likely then came to a further agreement to hold all 21 nights there. So the Earth Tour, or 21 Nights in London, then became a combination of what Prince had spent the last few years doing. You had the Musicology-style album giveaway with the ticket price, combined with a residency at a single venue, as Prince had done the previous year with the 31-21 residency at the Rio in Las Vegas. The residency was a smash hit. Over 300,000 people saw that show, which in ticket sales alone generated over $20 million in revenue. The show astounded critics and fans alike, with fantastic opening acts like Nika Costa and Beverly Knight, and surprise appearances from the likes of Elton John, will.i.am, and Amy Winehouse. Some of my highlights of the tour, aside from meeting Prince, were seeing him perform songs like Pink Cashmere, playing 1999 for the first time since Rave into the Year 2000, and a very surprising appearance of the then unreleased 1,000 Hugs and Kisses, not at an after show, but in one of the main arena shows. Being less than 6 feet from Prince at the front row of an after show where he opened with Empty Room was another mind-blowing moment. So let's discuss the album, and let's address the elephant in the room. For as successful and incredible as the residency was, Planet Earth is probably not many fans' favorite album. That's not to say it ranks low either, as it does contain some classics that have held up very well over the years, including Chelsea Rogers, Guitar, and Somewhere Here on Earth. But overall, popular opinion amongst the fanbase places it somewhere squarely in the middle of his catalogue. Not a mind-blowing album, but not a terrible one either. It is a set of highs and lows. But as we all know, even your average Prince album will contain many mind-blowing moments, and is still more enjoyable than what many artists put out. The title track, whilst not quite old enough to really be considered a vault track, wasn't a new song as such either, dating back to 2004, and a marathon recording session with Sonny T and Michael B. That session spawned songs that would end up being released across several albums, including the title track to 31-21, Guitar from this album, and songs like Colonize Mind, Wall of Berlin, From the Lotus, and Back to the Lotus that would all ultimately come out on 2009's Lotus Flowers set. And although Planet Earth the song was performed live, it didn't last very long at all in the live catalogue, with its first appearance in a show happening on the 1st of August 2007 at the first of the 21 Nights, and its final appearance happening on the 7th of September 2007 at a 21 Nights after show about 2/3 of the way through the overall residency. And that's in quite stark contrast to the album's second song, Guitar. Guitar had quite a strange history to it. Prince first released a version of the song on the 3121 website in February of 2007 to coincide with his legendary Super Bowl appearance. In comparison to the album version, this earlier released version feels very much like a demo, and although it wasn't a bad take, many of us pointed out at the time that for a song called Guitar, about how much he loves his guitar, this version actually did not contain a great deal of guitar playing on it. It was a more minimal, programmed version. What's interesting is that the more live instrument, guitar-heavy version that ended up on Planet Earth is actually thought to be the earlier recording, suggesting that Prince perhaps second-guessed himself by then choosing to do a more minimal version, before ultimately realizing the first version was superior. In that sense, you could argue that the final version is the demo and vice versa, even though it doesn't feel that way when you listen to both versions. The Planet Earth version of the song was overwhelmingly considered a far superior version, became a fan favorite, and ended up being a regular in Prince setlists for the rest of his career, with its final appearance in a show happening on the 1st of January 2016, just a few months before his passing. This was a private New Year's Eve show hosted by billionaire Roman Abramovich, and would end up being the final show Prince ever played with a full band, before embarking on his piano and a microphone show starting just a few weeks later. As a single, despite being a fan favorite, Guitar as a standalone single release did not fare very well on the charts. This was likely because the album itself was available for the cost of a newspaper just 1 week after the single release in Europe. In the US, there was no single release, but a deal was struck with Verizon for it to be available as a free download on their Vcast platform. Speaking of single releases, Guitar was the only song that was fully released as a retail single, although 3 more songs were released as promotional singles, but what's quite strange about this is that they all happened in different countries. In the US, Chelsea Rogers was a promotional single. In France, there was a promotional single of Future Baby Mama. And in the Netherlands, there was a promotional single of The One You Wanna See. Speaking of Future Baby Mama, one notable thing to celebrate about that song is that it did net Prince another Grammy Award, winning the award for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance at the 2008 Grammys. Not bad for a vocal that, according to the late engineer Ian Boxill, was recorded in the bathroom of Prince's hotel suite at the Rio in Las Vegas during his 3121 residency. Another interesting thing to note about the Planet Earth album is that on its original release it was actually available in 3 different packaging variations. There was the cardboard slipcase that came with the Mail on Sunday newspaper. There was a similar but slightly different cardboard slipcase that was given out at the 21 Nights in London concerts. And finally, in several other territories outside the UK, Sony Columbia released a traditional CD version in a folded digipack with a lenticular cover. At the time, and since, this led to many fans across the continents helping out fans on the other by trading versions, since UK fans were unable to directly buy the digipack, and US fans weren't able to directly obtain either the newspaper version or the concert version without traveling. What's interesting to note is that Prince apparently did not consult with Sony about the newspaper giveaway in the UK, and until that deal was signed, it does appear that Sony intended on traditionally distributing the digipack in the UK. When the newspaper deal was announced, Sony cancelled those plans, and in a unique twist for the first time in its history, leading British record store HMV decided to stock that week's copy of the Mail on Sunday newspaper simply to ensure their customers could buy the new Prince album from them. HMV, if you didn't know, did not, and I believe still does not, typically stock newspapers. One thing that fans can generally agree on about the Planet Earth album is that the visuals were stunningly good, both in the photos and the videos. Guitar actually had 2 music videos, one made by Verizon Wireless as part of their aforementioned promotional giveaway for their platform, and a second one shot by Sanaa Hamri. However, this second version wasn't released at the time, instead showing up years later on the Third Eye Girl website. Chelsea Rogers, of course, had a very memorable video shot at a London Fashion Week catwalk show, and Somewhere Here on Earth had an absolutely stunning video shot in the Czech Republic, where Prince and a film crew had flown in between 2 dates of the 21 Nights. We also got the incredible coffee table photography book 21 Nights in London, with photos of the residency taken by Randy St. Nicholas, an accompanying album of recordings from the O2 aftershows, and there does exist a 21 Nights DVD, which was originally set to accompany the expensive Opus book before being replaced with an iPod containing the same footage. In recent years, stock of that unreleased DVD was found in a storage warehouse in London previously owned by Opus, and copies were sold on eBay. Unfortunately, one phrase that springs to mind about the Planet Earth album is the phrase, missed opportunity. Let me explain. You see, 2 songs on this album, The One You Wanna See and Resolution, featured the return of 2 legendary Prince collaborators for the first time on record in over 2 decades. I am, of course, talking about Wendy and Lisa. Now, yes, Wendy had performed with Prince on TV in 2004 on the Tavis Smiley Show, and both Wendy and Lisa had performed with him the previous year at the 2006 Brit Awards, but there is a big difference between one-off live performances and actually working on new songs together, something that fans had been hoping for a very long time. Unfortunately, not much was made of this, despite it being an obvious big moment for fans and an easy story to tell for PR. The album had no credits, meaning a lot of people probably didn't even realize they were on those songs. They didn't appear in any promotional video footage together. There was no photo shoot of the 3 of them. There was very little, if any, PR push about it. They didn't appear at any of the O2 dates. And so what should have been a historic moment and something to give even more attention to the album ended up being little more than a footnote in purple history. As fans, we are of course grateful that this even happened, but it is frustrating that something that had been so highly anticipated for such a long time was not given the attention that the moment could so easily have gotten. And that wraps up another Facts video. What are your thoughts on the Planet Earth album? Let us know in the comments. Did you attend any of the 21 Nights in London? If so, make sure to tell us your favorite memories from attending. If you wouldn't mind, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel if you haven't already, and hitting the bell icon so you can be notified whenever we have a new video to share. Until next time, peace and be wild.
Hi, I'm Elisa Fiorillo, and you're watching The Violet Reality on YouTube. All things Prince!